You ever get that feeling after you buy a cheap pellet grill, fire it up for the first time and realize the temperature swings like a roller coaster? I've seen a lot of people regret that impulse purchase because the grill can't hold a steady heat, the ashtray overflows after a few minutes, or the grill simply won't reach the temperature promised on the box. That hesitation is real, especially when you're eyeing a backyard upgrade and you don't want to end up with another starter grill that ends up collecting dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Broil King Regal Pellet 500 Pro sits in that sweet spot between the entry-level models that leave you guessing and the high-end rigs that cost more than a small car. It's a 500 square inch cooking surface, which means you can fit a whole turkey, a few racks of ribs, and still have room for a side of veggies without crowding the fire. The first thing I wondered when I started researching was whether that size actually translates into useful cooking space, or if you end up fighting for room like you do on many larger grills that have awkwardly shaped interiors. In practice, the 625 square inch primary cooking area is laid out in a rectangular shape that feels natural for most backyard setups, and the additional 865 square inch total space, including a porcelain-coated warming zone, lets you keep cooked food warm while you finish the rest of the batch. If you're the kind of cook who likes to smoke a brisket low and slow for 1,214 hours, the 3.6 revolutions per minute motor and hollow-core auger are worth noting. The motor is strong enough to push pellets consistently, which is the difference between a steady 225F and a grill that spikes to 300F every time the auger hiccups. I tested a couple of recipes that require long smoke times. One was a classic Kansas City-style ribs, the other a pork shoulder for pulled pork. Both held a consistent temperature within a 10-degree window, which is impressive for a grill that's not in the $2,000 plus bracket. That consistency comes from the solid stainless steel cooking grids. They conduct heat evenly and don't warp after repeated cycles, so you don't end up with hot spots that char one side of a steak while leaving the other undercooked. One practical strength that shows up in everyday use is the preset temperature buttons. You can set the grill to 225, 300, 350, or 450 degrees with a single press, and the controller does the heavy lifting. For casual weekend cooks who want to throw on a packet of chicken wings and walk away, that simplicity removes a lot of guesswork. It also cuts down the learning curve for people new to pellet grilling. No need to spend an hour fiddling with a dial and watching a thermometer. The downside, however, is that the preset options don't cover the entire temperature spectrum you might need for certain baking tasks, like pizza at 500F. You can still dial it manually, but the interface isn't as intuitive for fine-tuning beyond the 4 buttons. Now, who should really consider this grill? If you already have a small propane grill and you're looking to add a smoky flavor without committing to a massive smoker, the Regal 500 Pro is a solid upgrade. It's also a good fit for families who grill a few times a week and need enough surface area to cook different proteins simultaneously. Think burgers for the kids, salmon for the adults, and a veggie tray for the side dishes. Because the cooking area is generous yet still fits on a standard patio, you won't need to rearrange your backyard or pour a concrete slab. The grill's overall footprint is manageable, and the steel construction can survive the occasional wind gust that's common in open-air cooking environments. Conversely, this isn't the best choice for a dedicated pitmaster who spends every weekend on a 200 square inch smoker that can hold multiple large racks of meat and maintain a perfect low and slow environment for 24-hour sessions. The 500 square inch space is generous for most home cooks, but serious competition-level smokers often need a larger firebox and more advanced temperature controllers. Also, if you're after a grill that can handle high heat searing at 600F for restaurant-style steaks, you'll find the 450F preset a bit limiting. You can push it a little higher manually, but you'll be working against the design limits of the heat exchanger, and you might not get the same crust you'd see on a dedicated high-heat grill. A hidden trade-off that many first-time pellet grill owners miss is the pellet consumption. The Regal 500 Pro's hollow-core auger moves pellets efficiently, which means you're not constantly refilling the hopper for a typical 5-hour cook. In my tests, a 20-pound bag of hardwood pellets lasted me through a whole weekend of mixed grilling: 2 briskets, a few chicken thighs, and a batch of smoked sausages. That said, if you live in an area where pellets are pricey or hard to find, the running cost adds up compared to a simple propane tank. It's a factor to weigh if you're budgeting strictly on fuel. Another practical point is the cleaning routine.